Hello there.
I just want to make sure I understand what's happening. So there's 8 senators that have snuck a provision into the funding bill that would allow them to sue the federal government for at least $500,000 each for being investigated for any role they may have played in relation to Trump's effort to overthrow our government. Is that right?
Yes, and it's 8 senators who are going to basically get a cash payout, money sent directly to their own bank accounts just because their phone records were subpoenaed by the FBI. Because a grand jury said, yeah, let's look at those records. A judge said, let's look at those records. So it's not even that they were investigated criminally. It's just they were involved.
Right.
That's all it was. 8 senators, and let's call out their names.
Please name them.
Let's hear their names.
Yeah.
Marsha Blackburn.
Ooh, I know her.
Tennessee. Bill Hagerty.
I know him.
Lindsey Graham. Josh Hawley. Dan Sullivan. Tommy Tuberville. Ron Johnson. And Cynthia Loomis are going to give themselves a minimum of $1 million each and maybe more while they are denying health care tax credits for working families in Tennessee and New Mexico and across the country. Not only is this corruption, but it is corruption at the expense of working families and small businesses. They couldn't find enough money to give the tax credits, but they're going to give themselves millions of dollars.
Right. While they say there's no money for healthcare, it's $500,000 like per device or something like that.
$500,000 per quote unquote violation. And so they define a violation as each time a request has been made. You might have a campaign phone, a personal phone, an official phone. There might have been multiple instances where you're getting different months, days. And so every time there was a disclosure, you get $500,000. So it adds up. So we think it is a minimum of about $1 million a piece, and it could go higher. And they did it retroactively. They passed a law that says, senators, you get to get money. The FBI or anybody ever asked for your phone records. And this is not tapping. There was an investigation going on about what happened.
It's basically, they're trying to give themselves immunity, right?
Trying to give themselves cash.
Right. But I'm saying like the idea is that going forward, you're not allowed to investigate senators anymore. Like they're setting a precedent. You can't investigate senators or they get money. Is that the precedent?
Exactly. It's bad enough going forward. And it could be that you're investigating somebody else. There might have been some conversations. They always talk about wanting to protect law enforcement, but once law enforcement trains their eyes on them, or somebody they know. And that's what this was. It was somebody they know. They were exchanging telephone calls. Well, where does that lead? Where does that lead? And because it led to the phone records, just who was calling whom. That's all the FBI wanted to know was who was calling whom when. Right. And so anybody who does that is going to say, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Give me $500,000.
It's so crazy. And I wanted to ask because it sounds so insanely corrupt. It is this insanely corrupt. I'm not seeing a lot of local Tennessee outlets cover this yet. To me, this is a Tennessee story. 25% of these senators are here. Tennesseans should understand what MARSHA and Bill are doing and the depths of their corruption. It's wild. To me, it's like it starts at the top. You know, I don't think this would be happening if Donald Trump wasn't the most corrupt president we've ever had. It feels like he's sort of setting a culture of get what you can while I'm in office, and they're kind of picking up on that.
This is absolutely, remember, Donald Trump wants the Department of Justice to give him $250,000
Right.
he was investigated.
Right.
So of course the senator is saying, well, if he's cashing in, I want to cash in too. And this is your money. This is taxpayer money. We're going to put it in our pockets. We really can't send out SNAP checks, feed the hungry. We can't help you. Health insurance premiums, it's doubling and tripling. But you're going to give $2 million, $1 million to Senator Blackburn, Senator Hagerty.
Right. Tennessee, by the way, is #1 in medical bankruptcies here already. So it's going to be really bad. Rep. McGovern on the House floor, he called it the most brazen theft and plunder of public resources ever proposed in Congress.
It is wrong. And it's probably the most brazen theft and plunder of public resources ever proposed in the United States Congress.
I just saw a story in Politico. It sounds like Republicans are saying they're going to introduce a separate bill to try to reverse this. They won't block it in the funding package, but they will try to reverse it after the fact. But McGovern and somebody else on the floor just basically said, that's bullshit. That's an excuse. That's not going to happen. It sounds like bullshit to me because the Senate won't take it up, right?
Exactly. And that's why I moved to do it last night. I have a bill to reverse it as well. I brought this up last night. I asked members of the Rules Committee, and for people who are watching, what is the Rules Committee, right?
Right.
It's where all the legislation comes before it goes to the floor. So we set up, what are the parameters? What are the amendments that you can vote on? They kept coming up with excuses, not all of them. Chip Roy, let's give Chip Roy a call out.
But he voted for it.
He is such a flip-flopper. You could not trust a thing that man said. He said, oh, this is really not good.
But he voted
then,
for it, right? I mean, I saw that speech he gave.
It is beside my comprehension that this got put in the bill. And it's why people have such a low opinion of this town.
But he voted for it, and so did the Georgia guy.
What they did is wrong. This should not be in this piece of legislation.
Not only did they vote for it, but Chip Roy then defended it before the end of the night. See, so he wants to play a clip where he says, this is horrible. It sounds corrupt. But then by the end of the night, he is defending it. And then he votes for it. We get sent here not to give speeches, but to vote. What did you vote for? Not what you said one part of the night, then you flip-flop, then in the end you voted. Because the only place you're going to really get it done is if you were to put it in that CR. I'm going to have my bill. Maybe somebody else is going to have this, but I'm honest with myself. They're going to not do this because the Senate won't take it up. When the king of corruption signs this, it will become law. And they will be able to submit their claim and get paid like that. Because the Department of Justice is going to say, oh, fine, this doesn't apply to you. You don't get to take advantage of if your phone records get disclosed to the FBI, you don't get $500,000. Guess what? It doesn't apply to the House of Representatives. And there are members of the House had those same records disclosed.
It literally just says the Senate.
Just the Senate.
Oh my
and then
God.
there's a carve out. It's normally you pass a law and it's for things moving forward.
Yeah.
There is a retroactive provision to carve out so that your two senators and these other people who are complicit get senatorial payola. It's corruption of the highest degree.
I'm sure you're aware Marsha Blackburn's running for governor here. I think it's really important that Tennesseans understand what this woman is capable of, because frankly, I think there's a lot of Republicans that will be horrified by this, even if they don't say anything about it publicly. What I'm saying to our fellow outlets here in Tennessee is there's only two ways to handle stuff like this. You're either calling it out or you're normalizing it. There's no third option. So for Tennessee outlets that are not calling this out, you are normalizing this corruption.
Exactly. Our job is to make sure that Americans are informed about what they are doing in the dark of night. They voted down my amendment to get rid of this payola, maybe 1:30 a.m., 2 a.m. Middle of the night, they did this, and they did it in the Senate without people knowing about it. They just snuck it right in, sneaking in their theft done under the dark of night, and they're taking your money, millions of dollars going into your senators' bank accounts, but they don't have enough money to help you with those healthcare premiums. Ask them about it.